Well, I just got done making a 30-minute video on autism spectrum disorder levels and the problems in the neurodivergent communities. So I'm going to have to remake this entire video because there were background noises, and which really pisses me off because I want to go to sleep here. But I can't go to sleep until this is off my mind. So, hey everybody, it's Astra. I'm here again. My hair has grown out. It's actually getting quite long in the back. Today I'm going to be talking about kind of the levels of autism spectrum disorder, why I believe that I'm lower functioning than I originally thought, and also I'm going to be talking about problems in the neurodivergent community, why I disagree with the levels the DSM-5 has, and problems that I face, even hypocrisy within the neurodivergent communities. So, where do we begin? Well, so when it comes to autism spectrum disorder, I was diagnosed with the DSM-4 at the age of like 2 or 3. It was a very clear-cut, obvious case. I had a mix of early developmental milestones associated with intellectual giftedness and late milestones, sometimes very, very late milestones associated with impairing autism spectrum disorder. Now, it took me a lot of therapy, a lot of training to kind of get to this point where I'm able to speak sentences like this and to kind of communicate normally. But I've been always kind of told since I'm able to like navigate airports and hotels on my own and walk around the lake, do 11 miles in 3 hours, and now I'm going on a 2,200 mile trail by myself. I've always been told that I'm very high functioning, that I'm a level 1 ASD person, that I'm like top of the functioning list. And I'm here to tell you that I don't think I am. I don't think I'm as high functioning as I think I am. And I kind of want people to be aware of me in the Sword Fights in the Heights community, just kind of the way that I am, because I think a lot of my friends think that I'm higher functioning than I actually, that I give off I'm higher functioning than. So first of all, text is my way to go. If you know me, I'm able to intellectualize the best through text format. But text format is also the way where is also a problem because I can misinterpret people's tone or people's message and I can have a freak out over it. I can have a meltdown. So text is like a double-edged sword for me. But as you know, I'm clearly not as capable speaking as I am texting. So texting is my strength. But I'm here to tell you that, I'm not as functional as you might originally think. So, where do I begin, right? So let's define the levels. We're not going to be talking about level 3 here. Level 3 autism is very impairing. There is no way that I would meet the criteria for level 3. Level 3 is like you can't speak. You can only speak basic words. You need help putting on your shirt, your pants, like you need help getting dressed. You need help doing everyday things, like maybe using the bathroom, for example. You can't support yourself on your own. So we are not going to be talking about level 3 autism today. What I'm going to be talking about in my case is level 1 and 2 autism. And I'm going to be describing to you why I think I'm level 2 and not level 1 autism. And I feel like this is something that people need to know about me, that just because I'm able to intellectualize very well and, I have 150 plus IQ and everything like that, it doesn't matter because I have an impairing autism. And even I didn't think much of it until recently. Recently is when, like, this month is and last month is really, I've really had a lot of time to reflect on kind of my situation, and I'm starting to think that maybe I was gaslit into believing that I was much more functional than I ever actually was. So when it comes to me living independently or being able to navigate airports or hotels or whatever, yes, I am able to pay off rent, and yes, I am able to hold down a job. However, my bosses know clearly that I'm autistic, and I'll do things like I'll grab chairs and rock them back and forth when I'm talking to people, or I'll move my legs or whatever, So yes, I can speak in full sentences, and that part is level 1. But when you fully interact with me, you'll just see my disability is obvious, and it's really level 2 functioning. I feel very disconnected from having a normal conversation. I can probably hold down conversations very well with professionals or in serious settings. But that is me on my absolute best, not behavior, what the hell. That is me on my absolute best functioning. If my brain is on full alert, if I'm with somebody that I really need to pay attention to and focus on, then it will seem more like level 1. But in conversations and kind of when you're in person with me, and not on voice chat and definitely not on text chat, I'm more of a level 2 person, I feel like. So level 1 is people see you as awkward, and you can befriend or date people easily. Or I'm sorry, not easily. You can befriend or date people with difficulty. People might see you as awkward. You can kind of generally handle change. You can do little fidgets and stuff like that. But for me, because right now I'm not moving this can or anything like that over and over. But for me, all of this seems like I'm more in the level 2 category. So level 2 is people can tell I have a disability. Now I work with therapists. I work with people. I talk with lots of people. My Walmart boss instantly knew I was autistic as soon as she considered hiring me. My social life is very limited. I would say that's not really true. It is quite limited. I have a very hard time making friends in real life. And I think it's gotten harder as of recently. Coping with change is very challenging. It is. So, yeah, I'll give some examples, right? So, so the first one that I gave was in conversations, I'm more of a level 2. We've already got that established. Living independently, yes, I'm able to pay rent and transport to work easily, but my bosses and my coworkers and everybody there can tell that I have a pretty substantial disability, and I definitely have said stuff in my Walmart job that has come across as things that I say but don't mean. I can have public meltdowns, or I can cry easily. Just based off the situation, which is more of a level 2 thing. I am used to change, but it really depends on what context. So, for example, when I went to the Mensa convention in Dallas, as soon as I got off the plane and kind of headed to the Skylink and everything became much more challenging for me. And I understand it's somewhat challenging for some people, but for me it was very challenging to kind of navigate my way there. I did end up in an elevator where it was restricted in Dallas-Fort Worth. Now, I didn't mean this. This was unintentional, and nothing bad happened, right? So what happened was I got into an elevator, and I thought, well, this is a public access elevator. But no, it had options to go to the tarmac, like the actual literal tarmac, and I almost pressed it because it was the lowest floor option. I needed to press the second floor. I almost went to the tarmac, which was the first floor. So I was like, oh shit, and I pressed the second floor. I look up and it says restricted area, and I'm like, oh fuck, if they got me on cameras or some shit, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Well, I'm not a guy, but you get it. I looked, especially at the time, more like a guy. What is this guy doing? Like, he's in the fucking elevator. He's in a restricted area. So that's what I mean. Yes, I'm able to get to point B, but I may wander into areas that maybe I'm not allowed to because I'm very kind of confused. Or, like, I'll give you another example. When I went to ride the train, when I checked into the airport, it was very difficult. Like, checked into the airplane and everything. When I got to the train, so here's what happened. Uber was expensive from going from my hotel, or the airport, to the hotel where the convention was, the Mensa convention was. This was Dallas-Fort Worth. So this was Thanksgiving Day. I wanted to take a train. It wouldn't arrive at the hotel, but what it would do is it would be a cheap train ticket. I would take the train, and it would head all the way down to near my location, so the Uber would be significantly cheaper, and the combined price of the ticket plus the cheap Uber would be way less than the total Uber ride if I took from the airport to the hotel. So I found that transition to be very hard on me. Kind of paying for my train ticket, I was very paranoid that if I did not pay for it and security came, they would find it's a misdemeanor not to get on the train and not have like a ticket, not pay for it. And there were people there to check, and I was like, oh shit, how do I pay for this? I was very, very distressed at that time, where I think most people wouldn't be. So those are some examples of why I believe I'm level 2. Yes, I'm able to go independently. Yes, I'm able to talk in full sentences, but that's not the full picture. And the distress is actually way more pronounced. Another thing is that when I need to change tasks, it's not very challenging in level 2 sense, but it is not a mild thing. It is not an enjoyable thing at all. And it can just add more hell, right? I'm able to handle busy airports well, like I don't need headphones or anything like that. That's like a level 1 thing for me for sure. Sensory is definitely a level 1 thing. But the rest of my profile looks level 2, honestly. Change could be very kind of disruptive to me. Like changing to sleep, for example, is very distressing for me. I don't want to go to sleep a lot of the times. Or, switching from doing one thing in mathematics to another in college is very stressful to me. It's all very, very stressful to me. So, and then it says, for level 2, I have developmental delays and will meet milestones late. I couldn't tell left from right until 13 or 14 years old, even 15. Now that's crazy for somebody that has a 150 plus IQ. How is that possible? Well, when you're super twice exceptional, like I am, which means you're gifted with disabilities, it can be a very uneven profile like that. Where you would think, oh my God, he's reading at 2, she's reading at 2. He's reading at 2 years old. Like, it's a genius. He's a genius. And it's like, Well, I'm not really able to understand the words that well, although I am able to pick up a book and I'm interested in the content, which is advanced. Um, so I'm able to use XP independently by 4, read books at 2, but I'm not able to tell left from right until 15. Things are evenly clear. Things are not always clear. So somebody could be very left side of the bell curve, where they're very delayed, and they can be very superior on the right side of the bell curve at the same time. I'm one of those people. So if somebody asks you, does somebody with a 150 IQ really can't tell left from right until they're 14? The answer is yes. If you're twice exceptional enough, something as basic as that can be a huge challenge. Meanwhile, you're able to do things miles ahead of your peers. Like I was an exceptional writer, right? I knew all the U.S. Army ranks at like 8 years old. So it's not. So everything is not off the table. There are some things that seem so opposite of each other on the table, and they can happen simultaneously. You see that with me. I was never diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in the DSM-4. I was with autism spectrum disorder, so the more impairing kind, as I've said. I need a psychological evaluation to be done so that I can, maybe get level 2 support services, because what I need a job coach. I need somebody that will be like a friendly peer to me and kind of supporting me online, perhaps. I need more support that I'm getting at the level 1 level, which is basically just my parents, right? I don't need somebody to come along with me everywhere unless it's like maybe a busy airport, but I do need more support than I'm getting. And I think that level 1 is not an accurate description of where I am on the autism spectrum. I have known far too many people, because I've been told my whole life, you've done Calculus 3, you got A's in pre-calc in high school, you even moved to a 504, there's no way that you're disabled. And I feel like I've been gaslit my whole life. Maybe not in the intentional sense, just the internal things that I experience, a lot of pain from autism spectrum disorder, does not manifest outwards all the time. And so my parents think that I'm this very high functioning, very able person, but internally it causes a lot of damage to do those kinds of tasks that somebody with level 1, or those kinds of everyday tasks like living independently. It's very distressing. I'm able to do it, but it's very distressing. So my parents were always like, you're very functional. But I think there are people that are way more functional than me. And so naturally, I'm actually kind of moderately high functioning. I'm not super high functioning. I know people with like Asperger's syndrome that were originally diagnosed with the DSM-4, and they do not seem autistic to me. That does not mean that they don't have autism. I am not invalidating their autism diagnosis. I would never do such a thing. That's a terrible thing to do to people. But to me, as somebody that's maybe needs more support, maybe is more on the spectrum, I don't like saying lower functioning because that kind of has a negative connotation associated with it, but that needs more support, that's more on the spectrum, right? It may appear as though they are like the neurotypical people, right? To me, it seems that way. And there are a lot of people that I know with autism that seem higher functioning than me. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not that high functioning compared to people that are usually on the spectrum. I'm more in the middle. I'm more in the middle. Because, after all, playing with a chair while talking with somebody, or repetitive behaviors like I do. I listen to the same songs for months and years and things like that over and over again. These aren't like mild things. These are pretty like in the middle, moderately impacting things. So I can't. So this month has really given me a lot of. I've had a lot of time to reflect on myself and kind of my conditions to assess whether I need more support and social understanding. And I think the answer is yes, I do. And I need to get a psychological evaluation. I'm already trying to get diagnosed for POTS with a cardiologist, but I think I do need a psychological evaluation with the DSM-5 to get those support services. Now, the next thing is that I want to talk about kind of hypocrisy in the neurodivergent spaces, and also hypocrisy and just problems. So a lot of what you'll find is that a lot of neurodivergent people do not have a mixed So we have to get into the DSM levels first. I do not agree with giving somebody a category of level 1, 2, or 3. I think there should be like independence category, a social interaction category, a repetitive behaviors category, things like that. And you can put level 1, 2, or 3 down on those separate things instead of characterizing somebody's level 1, 2, or 3. Right? And so generally I would score level 1 on a few things. Although I do think I fit more of a level 2 profile. Right? But I do notice a lot of autistic individuals, and if this was the framework developed, there's a reason why. A lot of the level 2 and 3 autistic individuals are not online. You'll find people with lower IQs as well, like intellectual disability. They're not online either. Like once you drop below 80, they're not there. They're not online. You can't find them. And so what I'm finding is that a lot of these neurodivergent spaces, they'll have people with level 1 autism never get into a meltdown, never need substantial support, never need a peer to stick by them to kind of tell people what they need. You'll find that they dominate the neurodivergent space. And so people that have the requirements kind of to exist online like me, but still are at a moderate functioning overall on many of the things, aka level 2, but they're level 1 on the things that are required for them to be online independently. You'll find that there's no spaces for level 2 or 3 autism. They're not online, remember? So you'll have to fit into the level 1 spaces. And when you have your meltdowns and you have your repetitive behaviors, you have your kind of shit, or you're kind of, maybe bringing triggering content onto the general spaces, and people get really upset by it, because neurodivergent spaces are all about supporting like trauma, for example, because a lot of neurodivergent people have trauma. And so triggering things, for example, aren't allowed, right? But when you're level 2 like me, you don't understand that as much, right? And it can take you a few times to figure out. They can kick you off, they can become really pissed at you, and I've experienced a lot of this. And the reason why is because these level 1 individuals think via text chat that I'm level 1. I'm just like them, right? I'm able to speak in full sentences. But that's not the case. It's much deeper than that. And so no level 2, no level 3 support systems at all that exist online. So so if I have a behavioral meltdown, then all these level 1 people that don't really understand that will kind of get mad at me. And if I tell them about it, sometimes they don't extend that respect to me. And I find that very hypocritical, because these level 1 individuals are different from neurotypical individuals that don't have autism, that are not on the spectrum. And they come to these communities not to be judged, not to be harassed by people. But when somebody requires more support than they do, it's totally fine to rip them off. It's totally fine not to extend the support that they deserve, right? Because they're not like you, right? The neurotypicals aren't like you, but they're also not like you. They're too low functioning. So we're just not going to extend that support to them. And so I say neurodivergent communities for whom? For the highest functioning individuals. Because if you are not that highly functioning neurodivergent individual, then you have nowhere to go. And that's me. I have nowhere to go, right? Because I'm one of the very few level 2 individuals that I think exists on the online space. And with somebody with my profile, right? That kind of has level 1 in the areas to exist online, but level 2 in the rest of the blanks. I'm one of the very few. I'm probably as low functioning as you can actually get to exist online. Because if I had any more impairing autism, or I wasn't able to live or function independently, I wouldn't be on here. I wouldn't have a YouTube channel, right? So there's nowhere for me to go. And that really upsets me. And it really upsets me that my own communities, the neurodivergent spaces, are not accepting people like me or are not understanding people like me. And I need my friends to understand this, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows over here where I'm super there, because I'm not super there, right? Sounds like it with my language, but it's not. This video for me, for example, has been a massive struggle. So anyways, that's all. See ya.